members, constituent members, where the government, the day is going and where the opposition are going and what policies are right, and also for people to explain their position and, of course, receive some form of scrutiny or explanation in the form of questions. So, this is the second year. I'm very encouraged, actually, by the quality of the presentations that we've seen, by the quality of the questions that we're receiving, and look, open to feedback. I'm hoping that the conference can continue to develop. It's a way of reaching out across the community. It's a valuable platform, I think, for the government to talk not just about current policy, but actually more importantly about future policy direction. So I hope there is some value in the conference, and of course we have sought to improve it this year by bringing yesterday the evening section in. Of course, I appreciate not everybody can get to these conferences, nor can you possibly explore every single facet of government policy, but I hope it's value, and we'll reassess at the end of this conference and hopefully get some feedback from people as to how it should be conducted next year.
Well, the big deal last year was the Island Plan and the economic strategy. So the Island Plan's a 5-year plan for action, and the government's just gone into its 3rd year. So give us a very quick update on progress.
Yeah, so it's been a very challenging 2 years for government. I think everybody's aware of the international and localized circumstances which have meant it's been challenging. That's everything from exiting COVID into dealing with the Russia invasion of Ukraine, the impact that's had on gas prices, the spike in inflation, which has caused a lot of pressure on people's income, and the sort of cost of living crisis. We've had to deal with that. We've reacted to that. We've brought in a refugee program to make sure we were contributing to efforts to support Ukraine. We've obviously brought in the key core fundamentals of the Island Plan, the strategic approaches. And now really it's about delivery for us. I think it's going into this 3rd year. I really want to see some real progress. I was delighted this morning to see the plans being outlined by the Enterprise Minister for brownfield site development. 3 core brownfield sites are getting backing. There's others in the pipeline, which I'm hoping to bring to fruition. It's great this afternoon to be talking about the formation of a housing association, which I think will bring a much greater strategic direction to tackling the housing problems, particularly when it comes to first-time buyers and particularly when it comes to social housing. And of course, we're going to continue to push forward in a number of other areas, including we've got a childcare strategy that needs to be implemented, which I hope will benefit particularly working parents, but also very, very young children in terms of the care and attention that they are getting. And it's going to be a critical time, of course, for the Treasury Minister at the next budget as well. We're well aware of some of the pressures from the deficit that we're running, and also, of course, that will have been affected by inflation. But I'm positive that we are entering a period that will see some positive progress for the island, and I think it's absolutely critical for this government that evidence of delivery starts to happen. And of course, I think some of that has already happened at this conference, and I look forward to more of that happening over the next few months.
Thank you. So that gets us off with a bigger picture. Let's have a question from the floor. Gentleman in the 2nd row, if you could just wait while the microphone comes to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name's George Hargreaves. I'm the director of the Isle of Man International Film Festival. So I'm going to ask you about the film industry. What are the government prepared to do to reignite what was a wonderful, wonderful film industry here?
Yeah.
We've seen in the UK, it was just on the BBC yesterday, how the reintroduction of tax breaks has allowed studios to start to be rebuilt in the UK. The strike in America has meant that even Barbie was done in the UK. We can do movies here. What are the government prepared to do? Can we have our tax breaks back?
Well, thanks very much, George. I'm delighted that you're helping film industry, media industry on the island. Listen, I think we've taken a very clear strategic direction in terms of our economic plans. I was with actually the Chief Executive Officer from Lloyds Bank, the main group, who came to the island the other day, and one of the things he said to me and was complimentary about was the fact that we do have an economic strategy. Whether you agree with it or not, we have an economic strategy, and he was quite critical of the fact that areas around us perhaps are lacking in that vision. You know, part of that is 5,000 new jobs, and of course within that we need to make sure that we are, of course, building and developing our existing businesses, but developing new areas as well. And we have had, you know, strong growth, or we're trying to facilitate strong growth in new areas. For example, in digital, and the digital agency is looking very closely at how digital is progressing and what new areas, and fintech, for example, and we're running a very innovative fintech competition. I think the film, going directly to film, I think we've had that experience from an Isle of Man perspective. I think there was a lot of questions about cost benefit analysis. I know it's a very good promotional activity. My view in terms of our positioning is that we would look at projects on an individual basis as they arrive, but we do not have a specific drive for the film industry as we were before, because I think we really do need to ensure that we are getting maximum value from that. The taxpayer is getting maximum value from the expenditure, and I think it's probably fair to say, you know, that wasn't always clearly demonstrated, and you will know as well as I do that, you know, there's a lot of industry activity that yes, creates some economic activity around it, but doesn't necessarily demonstrate a return for the end product per se. So it is you know, it's not always a transparent business when it comes to financial returns. And I think what we're doing in terms of the areas, the core areas that we're driving, are the right areas for this government. It is about developing the industry's financial services, insurance, digital, e-gaming, and of course around that we've got our localized industry, domestic economy, if you like, the visit agency, the tourism. But as I say, film is something, of course, we will talk to you about, but it is on an individual basis.
Is there a mechanism for that individual? Is there a mechanism?
Absolutely. We've got a fantastic team at the Department for Enterprise. They will talk to you absolutely about any project that is worthwhile to bring economic returns broadly to the island. And of course, we would look at the case on an individual basis.
I'll take another one from the floor. The gentleman, that one, two in from the aisle. That's the one.
Chief Minister, there's lots of people leaving California because of the high taxes. What's the Isle of Man doing to attract a global audience? And why do we have so much cut and paste legislation, meaning that an American coming to the Isle of Man can't drive until they pass their test here, whereas a Canadian can, or a Romanian can come and swap his driving license for a Manx license, but an American can't. So a lot of those people that want to relocate here are just not bothering. There's too many barriers.
So, I mean, I think, you know, immigration is a subject that's very much at the forefront of discussion at the moment. We've set an ambitious island plan out. We want to attract, you know, 5,000 new jobs, and we want to attract the young demographic to come and fill those jobs. And, you know, we haven't set any definition as to where people come from. So actually, international